Now, you might have noticed in the past few weeks that Raw's really upped its game, and I imagine the knowledge of that makes Simon work even harder in the gym, and fair play to him, because it takes quite a lot of dedication to get arms quite that. Wish I was muscular. Anyway, the point is, can SmackDown continue to match Raw, or will its bigger brother start to edge ahead as it has done traditionally in the past? I'm Jack from WhatCulture.com, and it's time to look at all of the ups and all of the downs as well. We start off with an up for the opening segment, which saw AJ Styles come out, and he was confronted by none other than James Ellsworth, who did turn heel on Sunday but doesn't seem to realise that he has done. A bit like Adam Pacitti, actually. Ellsworth came to the ring and said, "Look, AJ, you've been ducking me, I've got your number, I'm 3-0 over you." AJ just did what everyone else did and laughed at him pretty much. Then Dean Ambrose came out. Ellsworth extended his hand to apologise, was immediately drilled with dirty deeds, and Ambrose walked calmly to the back. This was pretty much everything you could want in an opening segment. It does involve James Ellsworth, and everyone's crying out for him to just be axed from this storyline, but you do have to get people out of storylines just as carefully as you insert them into storylines. And while I don't want to see Ellsworth hanging around in the main event scene much longer, this seems to be the right kind of way to do it. Don't agree with him getting involved at TLC, but this is a good exit plan. So this starts off SmackDown with an up. Next, we have the Tag Team Championship rematch between the new champs Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt and the old champs Heath Slater and Rhino, and predictably Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt won. And it's really interesting what they're doing. It's interesting to see the dynamic between them continue to evolve. They're continuing to sort of trust each other and like each other more, like a pair of baby goats in a quiet meadow. And then you've got Luke Harper jealously stuck on the outside, like a third baby goat in a slightly different part of a quiet meadow. It was a good little match, it made the champs look strong, but poor Heath Slater and Rhino, eh? They had a good run, and it looks like that run's come to an end, and I just hope that if they do split, the WWE have some faith and stick with Heath, because not only does he have kids, he's also a tremendously underrated underdog babyface as well. 2-0 to the ups. Now, we had a really baffling segment where Carmela came to the ring and cut one of those promos that was obviously scripted for her, and it just kind of made very little sense. She was like, so Natalya attacked Nikki because she's jealous of Nikki, and she's jealous of Total Divas, and she's been jealous of Nikki since the start of Total Divas, or Total Bellas as well. She's jealous of that too. And then she was like, and she's jealous that she's not as beautiful as Nikki or as beautiful as herself, Carmela. And it was all, don't know what's going on. Then Natalya came out annoyed, I guess, because of something she'd said, and then she tried to beat her up. But Carmela ran away to the back, and Natalya chased her. So is Natalya a face now? Apparently not, because Nikki Bella was stood there and her and Natalya had a weird face-off. So we don't know if Natalya's face or heel, but it's certainly a bit too much of a compliment to call her a tweener. That implies some kind of deliberate action by the writers, and I really just don't think they know what they're doing. I'm afraid it's a down. Next up, we have the Ascension versus the Hype Bros. They ain't hype. They're one of the most underutilized and weakest tag teams in the SmackDown tag team division. This match was okay, but I'm going to have to give it a down, because this is a sort of thing that happens when you don't develop enough people on your roster. I get that they're going to need to start building up challenges for Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt and have secondary feuds and all that, and I'm well in favour of that, but that doesn't mean this match was a good one. No one cares about either team. This is kind of like when you're playing Pokemon, and if you just concentrate on your starter Pokemon and level them up, and then you get to like Lavender Town and you've got your Blastoise who's doing really well, and you've got like 3 Pidgeys and like a Metapod. It just doesn't work out, and they need to start building their Pokemon more evenly, is the moral of the story in the tag division. Next up, we have Miz TV with special guest Dean Ambrose, and I have several questions. Miz is really concerned about being the best Intercontinental Champion ever. Why does he still have a talk show? I guess you can excuse it because he's all about the glitz and the glamour and the fame. Why does Dean Ambrose agree to go on the show? He should be primarily concerned with being screwed out of his chance at the title. And thirdly, and my biggest problem with this segment, Ambrose totally did a Cena. He totally did a Cena. Like, Miz was like, "You must be so angry. You must be so angry." And Ambrose went, "I'm not angry. You haven't seen me angry yet." And that's totally what Cena did for all those years when we hated him so much for the way he was booked. He'd laugh off devastating results that he could have really sold and made his opponent look more of a bad guy, more of a heel. And instead, you've got Ambrose now doing exactly the same thing. And that was inexcusable for me, and that is a down. But on the flip side, in the same segment, Miz was written very, very well, or performed it well. I can't quite tell how much of it was his idea, how much of it was the writer's input. But the Miz stuff worked. He pointed out how Ambrose had used Ellsworth to get in the head of AJ Styles, and now that it had backfired on him, he was being quite petulant. I really like that point of view. Heels are always the best when they've got a sort of semi-compelling argument. You can see their point of view. He also presented Ambrose with the Miz Participation Trophy, which was great. I loved the image of it. I loved the Comic Sans. It was very, very Adam Blompier. Very Adam Blompier. Suspiciously Adam Blompier. I should probably check his emails when he's next out of office. That's enough. Next, we had another rematch from TLC between Callisto and Baron Corbin. It was three fast, three furious. It was a great little match. Callisto got kind of squashed, but he got some offense in. I don't really have any complaints here. Corbin continues to look strong, which if they're throwing all the way behind him, they might as well do it. They might as well make him look strong. Callisto looked plucky as ever. It's enough. Next, we had Chad Gable of American Alpha versus Tyler Breeze of Breezango. And it was an alright match. I wanted to give this an up at first, but I decided to give it a down because, you know, this is an absolute NXT dream match. Tyler Breeze versus Chad Gable, two of the leading lights of NXT at various points in their career. And now they're both on SmackDown. And yeah, Gable's probably in line for a title reign at some point, the tag title reign alongside Jason Jordan. But Tyler Breeze has fallen so far, and it was really sad to see these guys given 2 or 3 minutes. Really didn't have time to do much. And while I understand that they want to build more feuds in the tag division, this isn't really the way to go about it. So I have given it a down. Next up, a promo segment featuring Alexa Bliss, the new SmackDown Women's Champion, and Becky Lynch and Dean Ambrose. This is how you sell the disappointment of losing a major title. Becky was devastated and angry and vengeful, and Alexa was kind of petty and annoyed that the crowd didn't rally behind her, and she bailed from the ring when Becky sort of had a go at her and was about to attack her. It was all great stuff from the two, nothing groundbreaking, but just good, solid feud building, and now I can't wait for the rematch, so it's definitely an up. And finally, the main event, an Intercontinental Championship match between Dean Ambrose and The Miz. And oh, just as I praised WWE earlier in this very video for giving James Ellsworth a nice smooth exit out of the storyline, hopefully just an easy defeat by AJ Styles next week. Instead, the saga between him and Dean Ambrose rolls on. He accidentally cost Dean a chance to win the Intercontinental Championship. He got involved apparently to try and help the Lunatic Fringe, and then didn't, and instead Miz was able to capitalize and pin Ambrose, which is a big victory for the Miz. But man, the more they kind of mess about with Ellsworth, the more and more they do wrong, and I can see things getting quite a lot uglier in the next few weeks if they don't just find something new for him to do and cut him out of the world title scene. It's almost damaging to the credibility of AJ Styles' reign as well. So this is undisputably a down. And it ties things up. We end 5-5. The ups are drawn with the downs. Neither have won. It was an okay episode of SmackDown Live. So that's all for this week on SmackDown Live. I would say not as good as Raw for the second week in a row. Are the tides are changing? Are the times are changing? Are the tides and the times are changing? Or is this just a minor blip for the blue brand? I've been Jack from WhatCulture.com. Thank you very much for watching. You can follow me on Twitter at Jack_the_jobber. Phil.
Chambers Philip.
Chambers Philip. He got it right this time, I swear. And I'll see you soon.
Hello, magazine called Wrestling. That's right, it's time for issue 3 of Wrestling, this time focusing on the 100 greatest wrestlers of all time. That's been decided by our votes, wrestlers' votes, and of course, your votes. There's a big feature on the practice of blading, and of course, a How WWE Should Have Booked written by this guy. This time, How WWE Should Have Booked the anonymous Raw general manager. Not only that, but there are 5 covers of What Culture Wrestling 3 to collect out there. Can you catch them all? I don't care. Wrestling! As ever, you can pre-order the magazine by going to shop.whatculture.com.